This is the 2022 Cadillac Escalade. 6,000 pounds of pure American luxury. Big, bold, and according to some, brazenly opulent. But can this top trim premium luxury platinum variant justify its price of a whopping $131,000 Canadian?
And that's what we're going to find out today. With that being said, welcome to GCCars. My name is Eric and this is the big American behemoth. Getting to review this Escalade has been in the works for probably 9 months. I've been scheduled in multiple times, but due to reasons not at the fault of myself or General Motors, this had to be cancelled multiple times. So finally, I am here with an Escalade. And like I said, top trim as spec as it gets. As always, we're going to start off talking about the exterior, then we're going to talk about the interior, then we're going to drive it, and at the end we're going to sum it up and see if it's worth $131,000 Canadian, or if you're better off going maybe with a competitor or just a lower trim. But as always, if you like the video, make sure to subscribe and the bell, because we upload videos every single week about everything from budget cars to luxury cars, sports cars, trucks, whatever, and it's completely free to you. And the more subscribers I have, the cooler videos I can make, and the better the cars I can show you. Okay, let's get started on the exterior. And I know this might be a little controversial. Some people, you know, some people just straight up don't like big SUVs. I love them, and I think the Escalade looks fantastic. This one is colored in metallic gray. Well, sorry, in galactic gray metallic. There you go. And it's kind of like a bluish, very bluish, almost purple in some kind of lights. Gray, and I think it looks pretty good. We got the chrome wheels, we got the chrome accents everywhere, and I like it. But I think this is kind of like going on a summer vacation in Maine spec. We've had a previous Escalade, which we had one POV test drive of. That was a Sport Platinum, so it had the black exterior and the black wheels on the Trico white, which I think look very fantastic. I like both of them. I can't really say which one I like more. Both of them look great. I love the looks. I mean, this is a huge front end. Oh, tumbleweed. Huge front end. It is absolutely enormous. It is ridiculous how big this is, especially as a German. These are sizes you do not get in Europe, unfortunately. And I love it. I love that we get them here. And like, look at this. Look at how small I am next to that. It's ridiculous. 22-inch wheels. Huge sides. You got Cadillac logo see on the side on the chrome. And then in the back we have like this monstrous tailgate, which is just so big. And you know what's amazing? I recently moved, so it's not the case for me anymore. But when I rented a room, this thing had a bigger footprint than my room. An SUV that has a bigger footprint than a room that cost $800 in Toronto. Anyhow, I absolutely adore how this looks. Very aggressive. Let's take a look at the inside though, because that's where all the money is spent, right? Okay, let's talk Escalade interior. And super easy to get into thanks to the steps that come out of the car from underneath. And we have soft closed doors. The interior is why you buy an Escalade mostly, and to have a lot of space, and to have an Escalade because it is pretty cool. And this is just extremely nice. This is what you expect if you buy a $130,000 Escalade. It's fantastic. We have supple leathers everywhere. We have metal, we have wood trim, almost like a yacht, honestly. It is so incredibly nice in here, and it just feels and looks amazing. I love this so much. The steering wheel feels good. All the bolstering is plush and comfy, even up here, and it's just the richness of materials, contrast, stitching. Like, this is just the detail and like the variety in materials that I want to see if I pay so much money for a car or truck. In this case, tiny nitpick, I would have liked if the switches up here for the windows and all that would have been like metal, or at least metal looking. Even a GLA has kind of nicer switches. This is just pretty plasticky. Honestly, it's not going to bother you, really. But it's just, could have been like a tiny bit nicer. Anyhow, the seats are supremely comfortable. So many features. So we have massaging seats. We have so many options for that.
So we have roll massage, net massage, wave massage, relief massage, and then we have the glide massage, all from a level from 1 to 3. Let's take net. All right, that sounds good. But it's not only nice, the tech in here is also fantastic. So we have, first of all, this 38-inch total front driver screen array. So it's like 3 different screens. We have the screen on the left, which we can use to have our trip, like our trips, like the distance and average consumption and all that. Then we have that as our option screen for like what we have in the center screen, right? So we can use gauge view, we have a map view, we have an AR camera view, and the AR camera view basically shows you little arrows wherever you need to point, wherever you need to go, which is really nice and really useful if you don't know the area. And then of course we have our main screen here on the right, which is for our infotainment, which is both a touch screen and usable with this dial. I mostly use the dial because it is a little further back, right? So if you want to use it while driving, you would need to lean forward. But it is extremely responsive. Either way you use it, it is super intuitive to use. So many features and menus, like holy wow, you so much stuff is in there. It's kind of incredible. And in terms of cameras, we have like 1 billion cameras. So you won't run out of things to do when you're looking at this infotainment. It just looks great. It's an OLED screen, so the black levels are amazing. The colors are really, really nice and bright and vivid. And of course we do have a bit of ambient lighting in here, which also is really cool. And then lastly, the thing I want to talk about here up front is, first of all, we have our huge roof, sunroof, which is, that's a lot of air in here. We have, as in many General Motors vehicles, one of my favorite features, we have a digital rearview mirror, which just gives you such a better overview, pretty much eliminates all blind spots. And then we have this neat little, it's literally as big as like half my arm, little cubby, where we have some USB ports, we have a bit more storage, and we have our cup holders just put in here. No, this is great. This is so nice. This is so oh, of course we have our Super Cruise kind of like screen up there, but we'll get to talk about that in a bit. This is so nice. I love this. Second row though is really important, and then we're going to take a look at the third row, and then we get driving. Second row, soft close. There we go. Yeah, like you could almost sit 2 people here. It is so spacious. It is supremely spacious. It is so nice and so comfy. Look at how plush these armrests are. You can just squish them. Of course, you can put them up, you can put them down, whatever you want to. And yeah, the view, thanks to the sunroof and the big windows, is very nice. Plenty of space for your feet, plenty of space for your head, plenty of space for you, whatever size or shape you are, really. Everybody will be comfy here. And of course the materials are once again super nice. And then just a couple features up top, we have our rear infotainment system here, which is optional. You can connect USB or HDMI devices and then connect them to the screen and have a display. And additionally, you can control these up front too, so if your kids aren't supposed to watch anymore, you can just shut them off, or you can mirror one screen to the other. Very easy to use and very feature rich, essentially, to entertain whoever sits in the second row. Obviously we have heated seats, we have cup holders in here, we have a few chargers down here, and we have Cadillac branded headphones to enjoy your content. Great. No, this is amazing, amazingly comfy. Lastly, we want to look at the third row. Put that back in, very nice and comfy. I doubt anybody's ever used them so far, because it's not something you don't use if you're not the owner, right? Third row, of course, we have this giant path, so we can just walk there. So let's go there. All right, and now in the third row, of course, the center seat here gives us plenty of space to stretch out. Like, this would honestly be super comfy. So even if you go with captain's chairs here up in the second row, if you have a fifth passenger, this is probably comfier actually than being in the middle in the second row. But we of course have 2 more seats to our sides for a total seating capacity of 7. So if we slide over, even now I have a pretty decent amount of space.
The only area where my space is a little limited is for my feet, like kind of the top of my feet, because I have to put them beneath the seat. But like leg space is good, head space is good, side to side space is good. I got cup holders, I have a USB-C charger on either side. So this is really, really good still. And of course, if you really want to use the third row a lot, there's still the ESV, the longer wheelbase Escalade, which will give you more space here. But honestly, like, I wouldn't complain about this. Like, even I could sit in here as an adult for a very long time. As long as you just put one leg to the side, you can sit in here for very, very long because it's still very nice. So yeah, as expected, amazing interior, super spacious. We do want to take a look at the trunk, and then we go driving. Hello. I figured I'm just gonna sit down instead of laying down because we have so much space and it's a little more comfortable. But obviously even this short wheelbase Escalade has plenty of space here in the trunk. Behind the third row, just like we have right now, we get 25.5 cubic feet of space. Admittedly, if you want to store luggage, might not be quite enough, but easy enough. Put on the third row, and there you go. Just a quick note, I did pull the seats, second row seats, forward from the interior segments because they were all the way back, and you can't have them all the way back and put down the third row. You can also put them back up if you want to, which is incredibly convenient. You can't do that with the second row though, but you can still lower the second row seats like that. But third row down gives us 72.9 cubic feet of space, and now we should extend it to a whopping 121 cubic feet of space. I mean, like, you could literally go camping in this. Also, General Motors, give me a Suburban so I can take it on a camping trip. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun video. And you have so much space. It's ridiculous. Anyhow, I said we're going to drive now. Okay, now out on the road here in the 2022 Cadillac Escalade, and as always, we start off with a launch. So let's put her into sport and turn off start stop, turn off traction control. Gotta go all the way over here. Traction control off, stability control off. Okay, it doesn't let me, whatever, doesn't really matter. And we're gonna brake torque her and see how quick she goes. I did the same thing I did in the Tahoe, even though I thought about it beforehand. I was like, let's not do it. I forgot about putting it into four-wheel drive because I always drive in two-wheel drive. But nonetheless, that was pretty quick, wasn't it? And it was fun. Let's put it into four high. Let's try that again. So four high. Alrighty, there comes the torque. The sound of the V8. I love it. All right. Now that we had one, honestly, the two-wheel drive wasn't really that much slower. I felt like it got going pretty well there. And boom, I want to go into my regular mode, please. Not off-road, tour. Thank you. There's so many buttons. Two-wheel drive. That's all we need. Awesome. Okay, so yes, even though this weighs 6,200 pounds roughly, it's plenty quick. It is plenty quick because we have the naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 in here. And oh my God, I love this drivetrain so much. Every time I have it, I say that I love this drivetrain. But now I'm at a point where I can confidently say that, aside from like sports cars, this is my favorite drivetrain I've ever driven. The 6.2 liter V8 naturally aspirated, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, by the way, made it to the 10-speed automatic, which shifts so smoothly and so quickly. It is just a joy to drive this from a drivetrain perspective. As you can see, if we want to have power from a dig, we get it, despite of course weighing a little. Although, of course, that is too slow, like the 5.5 seconds roughly we take to reach 60 miles an hour. The Escalade V is about to come out, which has a supercharged V8. I'm working on getting that in time whenever that comes out, but just know there are more options. Quick transmission test, 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour. How quick does it react? Took a second or two there to go and get the right gear, but once you got the power in the right gear, she goes. Alrighty, but that's all the sporty aspirations I have from this, because that's not what an Escalade is about. But I can just say that this, I love this drivetrain. It is so smooth, so much power, so much smoothness because of the V8. I've had the diesel in the last Escalade I didn't get to review, but we had in the POV drive and the POV highway drive. And the diesel gets stupidly good fuel economy. It also drives very nicely, but with the diesel you do lose refinement because it is a little more coarse sounding. They actually subdued the V8 in this Escalade very well. You only heard like a little burble occasionally, unless you floor it, obviously. Then you can hear it. But during normal driving, you don't really hear the V8 kind of at all. It is very refined feeling and super butter smooth. Add to that our pedals are also kind of super smooth, but have a pretty good weighting to it, so you can easily figure out where to go. Although the first time I had to brake a little harder for a highway off ramp, I was a little surprised by how much force I needed to apply. I was like, brakes. But that's the point where I learned it, and then I was okay on it. But yeah, so the pedals just help you come to a stop and accelerate extremely smoothly, and the steering weight is just absolutely fantastic in this. Literally perfect. So this is perfect for an Escalade because it is not effortless. So it's not like the Carnival, for example, where I can literally steer with 2 fingers. So this is still hefty enough for you to kind of know, okay, this is heavy, this is a large vehicle I'm driving. But at the same time, it is so comfy and it is so nice. Like, honestly, I love the steering so much. I normally don't get so excited for steering, but the steering is just very well done and very fitting to the Escalade. Then we've just driven over the road that we always do drive over when we talk about suspension. We have the air ride in here, right? So this automatically lowers and lifts itself depending on the conditions and where it drives. So on the highway, it lowers itself to give you better fuel economy. You can raise it up for off-road mode, and when you enter and exit, it also then it also lowers itself after driving, so you have an easier time getting in and out. The air ride also makes it extremely comfortable to drive anywhere. Like even in Toronto, the pothole kind of like capital, it feels like. Although I don't know, maybe LA is worse. I haven't driven in LA yet. But at least in Toronto, which is terrible with potholes, you don't really feel it. Like, we've just driven over terrible roads there, and you just kind of glide over them. Very nice ride. The vibrations get absorbed very well, and you're just comfy. You're just very comfy at all times. Can do a little handling test. I don't know why, but I just felt like saw the corners. All right, let's do it. Oh, power! Thank you. I think that was 2-wheel drive. That kind of didn't give us the power, but I was given like 75% throttle out of the turn, and like nothing happened. That's why I leaned forward in like anticipation of the torque coming in, but it just didn't come in. But that might have been the 2-wheel drive, kind of like cutting it in a little. Anyhow, it handled surprisingly well, but that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, so it is extremely comfortable even over roads like these, and yeah, it just drives so well. And add to that the noise floor is extremely low. Vibrations are far and few in between. You hear them, you barely hear any at all. And like, you just cocooned in this Escalade from every outside interference that could disrupt your peace, your inner peace and your zen, right? To make it sound a little more elaborate here. But it is just very, very comfy. And add to that, we have good tech, right? I briefly spoke about Super Cruise. We're going to talk about that in a second. But we have the ATK. Forgot how it's called. Very professional. The sound system. We have the sound system, the studio reference, AKG. The AKG studio reference sound system, which is an optional add-on. So we have 36 speakers throughout this cabin. There's 2 in my headrest. We got 1 up here, we got 1 down there, we got a couple on the dashboard. It's literally ridiculous. And it sounds really fantastic with the right music, everything that's lyric heavy. where you want to have a little clarity. I found it a little hollow sometimes, but that might be down to me just having it in the default preset. I played around in it with a little, but I'm not good at that. So if you have a good setup, you might be able to do it better. But this gives you more of like this, especially in the surround sound, it gives you more of like a theater experience, right? In a theater, it's not really the clearest sound, but it's just like all encompassing. And if you listen to the right tracks with this sound system, it is amazing. Like, I've listened to a song that I've heard at an event once in a huge arena, and took me right back to those memories. It is incredible, and I've had no other stereo system, no other sound system be able to replicate this feeling for me. Like I said, it is situational and like depends on what kind of music you listen to, but when you listen to the right music, this system is just phenomenal. And I would definitely spec it. It's pretty expensive of an option. You will drop a couple grand for that, but it is such a good system. And it's just like, I took some friends on a ride yesterday actually, just to show them the Escalade, and they were just blown away by this sound system. Let me just cover my face. They were just blown away by the sound system, and that's kind of like one of those resets sometimes you need as an autonomous journalist, because you drive all these cars, so sometimes you kind of get a little stuck up in like, oh, this isn't quite as good as the other ones. But then you have like a person that isn't in a different car every single week listen to it, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. So maybe take their word more than mine. Super Cruise. God, I love that system. If you buy any Cadillac where you have Super Cruise available, please just go ahead and spec it. It isn't that expensive considering what it gives to you, and you get autonomous driving on most major highways throughout North America, and it is so insanely good. I have a video, the Highway PB test drive, where we test Super Cruise, and I don't have to interfere once, especially after trying Blue Cruise, Ford's alternative, in the Mach-E, and it's just never activating for some reason. It was just so pleasant. Put on adaptive cruise control, hit the button, and it works. It's on instantly, it works flawlessly, and now for 2022, it actually automatically changes lanes. And not only you press and it changes lane, but it automatically decides when to change lanes. So if you, let's say, you go in 90, you have the speedometer set up to 100, the adaptive cruise control, and the car in front of you only doing 90, but the lane left to your left is free, then the car will switch over to the left lane to achieve the 100 kilometers you entered into adaptive cruise control. Very cool. Very cool to see in person. I'm still always a little sketched up by these systems, but I've never had Super Cruise do anything where I had to interfere. But it's just pretty cool. It's kind of like the new tech, new world, right? Where you get like cars driving themselves. And it is so good. Like, honestly, like I said, if you have the option, if you buy any Cadillac and you can spec Super Cruise, do it. Do yourself the favor. Thanks. But we've talked very technical here. I'm German, I like to talk about technical stuff and like very, very, categorize everything. But let's talk a bit on an emotional level, because this Escalade does things for me that no other car has ever done. I'm not saying there's no other car that can do this, but from all the cars I've driven, and we've driven some very expensive cars, nothing else has done this. And I've told you in the Genesis about how there's very, very few vehicles, specifically the GV70 and this Escalade, that allow me to slow down, literally and metaphorically. So if I'm driving and I don't have anyone behind me in those two cars, I'm not going the speed limit because I don't feel rushed. And especially this Escalade. Like, I live a very busy life at the moment. I push 90-hour weeks, literally week after week after week after week for almost a year and a half now. I'm almost done with it, luckily. But I'm doing a lot of stuff, all right, is what I'm trying to say. And I am pretty stressed out, not gonna lie. So whenever I'm in the car and I want to go somewhere, I want to go there quick, because if I'm a minute earlier, maybe that gives me a minute to catch a breather, or I don't know, check Reddit, do something that calms me down. So having the car that makes me willfully be slower means that driving the vehicle is preferable to being at your destination, which might be at home. Not that I don't like where I live, but you are just so comfy. It drives so well. It is so well isolated. You have your massaging seats, your heated seats. You have the amazing stereo system, that this just becomes so insanely relaxing to drive. It makes me feel so good that that it allows me to slow down. And I've only ever had the GV70 and this do it, and this does it way more than the GV70 ever did. This literally de-stresses me when I drive, which is just worth a lot, which is worth an insane amount of money to me personally, and everybody that lives a very stressful life. It's $131,000 Canadian, which is a lot of money. I don't doubt that. But as stupid as it sounds, it is worth every penny of that. Actually, I'd spec it even more and get the night vision because it's a little more added safety for like $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it is. This isn't just an expensive or fancy car that's like it's nice when you're inside and get, no. This has, at least on myself, and I assume on many other people, just a very deep impact. And that's why I say it is absolutely worth every single penny that it costs. And if I had the money, and at some point in my life, hopefully I will, to be able to afford an Escalade and a fun car, yeah, I would absolutely do it. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't even think about it. If I have the money to spend $131,000 on a car, yes, I'd do it. Get the Escalade. And that's it. Those are my final thoughts. We're not going to go over to the final thoughts because I said everything I wanted to say. Life is better with an Escalade.